Hello and welcome to Hot Money Technicals on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. This is a show which gets you a complete wrap of all the stocks which are buzzing in trade. I am Agam Bakil. Let's get in our experts for today then. We have Vikas Jain of Reliance Securities along with Raja Venkatraman of Chart Advice and independent technical analyst Fidai joining us on the show. Good morning and thanks for taking the time out here. Before we begin the show with our analysts, let's bring in Yash Upadhyay, who has a chart on Indian Oil Corp. Yash, what does your chart indicate?
Afternoon, Agam. So most of these oil refining companies or the oil marketing companies, they have been in focus over the last several weeks. First, there was this news of the divestment on the back of which we saw the big move on the upside, but we have seen that cool off come in, and now taking a look at how IOC is placed, and this is over the weekly time frame of the stock, and we are seeing that it has come back to the levels where it has historically taken support and bounced back again. So it was at the mark of 122 as of yesterday's close, and there has been positive momentum in today's day of trade. It's up about 1%. The mark of the yellow line is over the weekly basis, the closing point, and this is where it has twice taken support, and this is the third time when it has come down to these levels. The RSI 2 on the weekly time frame, that has given a positive divergence, so that is another positive indicator. So the risk to reward ratio is extremely favorable for traders who are looking at any long bets in the counter currently. Keeping a strict stop loss below the mark of 118, one could look to go long in the counter right now.
Yash, thank you so much for getting us that chart on Indian Oil Corp. We'll be watching out for that. And on that note, let's begin with the first round of charts. Right at the top, we have Vikas, who has a chart on Container Corp of India. Vikas, why don't you come and join us and tell us what you are observing here as far as Container Corp is concerned. The chart should come up for you on your screen here. And there you have it. Yep.
If you look at the Container Corporation of India, had a strong move from those 460 odd levels to 668, and we saw a massive correction also since the high it has been formed. If you draw a trend line, it's almost corrected 50% of the retracement of the entire move from 460 to 560. The RSI has also turned positive with strong volumes, and we are witnessing some amount of positive pullback into the stock. So we believe the stock could see some amount of more up move. Once it crosses this 585, 587, the stock can head further to 630, 635. So the setup has been pretty bullish, and we believe the stock could see some amount of more strong up move going forward over the next few weeks.
Okay, coming back, what levels are you watching out for? Is there anything that else that stands out for you?
We believe the 61.8% retracement would hold a strong move, because those 535, 538, no doubt is a 61.8% retracement.
Right.
Above all, on the daily charts, it is also been holding as the 200-day average. So that level of value should hold on. So one can go long with a stop of 530 for a target of around 645 to 650 levels.
Okay, so these are the levels that Vikas is recommending as far as Container Corp is concerned, but let's also take the view on Container Corp from our other experts. Raja, I'll come back to you on this one. How are you seeing things pan out here?
Yeah, Container Corp gave a good, nice channel breakout on the higher time frames above the 560 levels. Yes, it did move quite well, and right now there's a pullback to once again the channel support. Yes, there are Fibonacci supports as well. So overall chart perspective indicates that there are some supports which are acting into play. However, I would need some confirmation above 575 for me to regain the faith that yes, the bulls are once again back into this counter. So once it begins to move above 575, I would go long in Container Corp. Yes, overall chart structure looks like it's a support area, but then I would wait and watch for a move above 575.
Okay, Mr. Fidai, would you agree? What's your view here?
Yeah, the stock is making a very good consolidation base here, but it's very near to its support at 545. So till it holds between 545, 550 and doesn't close below that, one can stay long, and as Raja just pointed out, about 575, 580, the stock will gain momentum, and from there you can expect the price to go all the way up to 620 or even up to 675.
Okay, well, thanks. The key contention in this case is it's near a support, and the likelihood is upside. That is the big idea that's coming in from Vikas. But let's move on to Raja and talk about his idea for today, and that is on Piramal Enterprises. Raja, why don't you come here and show us what's going on? And Piramal Enterprises, as we all know, has been not without volatility. What are your observations here, Raja?
Yeah, if you can observe the charts of Piramal, they have been on a descent right since the middle of the year. And there have been frequent attempts to go up, but it's only been met with supplies. So you can see this rise in September, this rise in the month of October. It's been at a lower level. And since October, the price were only consolidating, where the attempt was being made to actually generate some bullish momentum. But then the charts could not sustain that. And now what we are seeing is an expansion in volatility to the downside. And for that, I have used a tool called as Bollinger Band. And in the Bollinger Band, the prices are tagging at the lower end of the band, so which says that there is some bearish momentum to the downside, and the size of the candles which are being displayed indicates that there is more weakness on the downside.
Right.
Along with this, I have used a momentum indicator in the lower panel, and this is the MACD indicator, and MACD is now trading below zero, which is highlighting the negative setup. So in combination of the price and momentum, we could expect more downside in PEL in the coming days.
Okay, can we go back to the price chart if it's possible? Because I want to get a better idea of at what rate would you sell Piramal, and what can you expect in downside?
Piramal, you can sell at the current levels. Use a bit of rally towards 1645 as additional selling opportunity.
Right.
Please stop above 1675 for a drop towards 1525.
Okay, fair enough, Raja. Thanks for getting us those details on Piramal Enterprises. And well, he's clearly expecting a drop possibly from current market levels. But Vikas, I'll come to you on this one. Are you also expecting some negativity here?
Yeah, the structure continues to look pretty weak. But only thing is that as the stock has seen a good amount of decline from the highs of around 1800 levels over the past 6 trading sessions, we should wait for some amount of bounce back on the higher side near to 1645, 1650 levels to sell. Because the setup has been pretty weak on a weekly and a monthly time frames. It has also completed its entire retracement from the lows of those 1300 to 1800 odd levels. So 1830, 1850 would continue to remain a resistance. Sell near to 1645, 1650 for a lower target of 1450.
Okay. Mr. Fidai, is your opinion the same?
Yeah, I'm looking at a very short-term time frame, rather intraday time frame also, 1 hour chart, and the stock has not been able to cross beyond even its 18 or 18 hours moving average. So basically, it shows too much of weakness. Any break below 1595 can accentuate the short-term momentum on the short side, and the new view gets negated above 1645, 1650, and above 1675 the momentum would change on the higher side. So till then one can stay short, keep a tight stop loss above 1635, and on the downside if it breaks 1595 one can expect a 10 to 15% kind of down move.
Okay, so there's a consensus here as far as our Piramal Enterprises is concerned as well. And from there on, let's move on to Mr. Fidai's first chart of the day, and that is on rights. Again, something that has been in vogue and has been advancing. But let's see what Mr. Fidai has to say in this case.
Well, basically, my call on rights is basically I would prefer to buy on dips rather than buy now. Reason being, it has been, it has broken down this fantastic support,
right,
and after that again congested, and then again it saw a down move. So today's up move is an opportunity to maybe go or exit on a higher side, and buy on dips around 245 to in that area.
All right.
So basically I would prefer to buy between 250 and 238 where I would like to accumulate,
right,
because these are two major supports. If you look at this, it's a huge long-term support on the chart.
Right.
And if you look at this also, this was the horizontal breakout area. So this is where it gave a strong breakout with huge volumes, and the price went up very strongly. And then, we would say this would be the retest of the breakout area.
Okay.
And that's the reason my call on the buying at dips. So there we have a low risk area where we can get into the stock.
Yeah. So Mr. Fidai, if you buy it around 240, 245, what is your stop loss and what are the potential targets?
So my stop loss would be 234.
234, okay.
Yeah. So we would love to buy between 250 and 235, okay?
Right.
And keep a stop loss around 234.
Okay.
On the upside, we can see at least minimum target of 280 and 325.
Okay. That's significant enough. Mr. Fidai, thanks for getting us that view on rights. But Vikas, how are you seeing things shape up for this one?
Well, if you look at once the stock hits a 52-week high, it has been sell off with massive volumes. Then we saw some amount of consolidation and again a fall has been come. So we believe the stock is ripe for further profit booking. The stock can see some amount of more sell-off even from current levels. The ideal strategy should be to buy on declines near to those 200-day average support area of those 230 to 40 odd levels.
Okay, and Raja, what about you?
Yeah, the overall chart structure continues to witness some profit booking after forming a shooting star pattern, which is a bearish reversal. The prices are steadily coming down. So I would wait for the prices to dip into the levels mentioned around 240, 250 and see the prices generate some buying interest. Otherwise, I would still wait and watch because the momentum is definitely to the downside.
Okay, well, there you have it. There is this clear wait and watch for this one. And the better suggestion would be to wait for you all to see the rights come off just a tad bit from current market levels. And that is where you can go ahead and buy. And that would also aid you in terms of your risk-reward ratio in this case. From there on, let's move on to the next round of charts that our experts are putting up. And I'm going to get in Vikas to tell us about Muthoot Finance. Vikas, why don't you give us your observations here? We must remember that some of these companies, gold financing companies, have been doing very well. Muthoot Finance is no exception.
Well, no doubt the structure has been pretty positive.
Right.
But what we are witnessing that the stock has made a strong top near to those 735, 750 levels, what it is observed in the month of November. Huge volumes have taken place. The RSI has not turned positive. If you look at the RSI was been pretty high at over these levels.
Right.
Despite making the stock a new high, this RSI continues to remain below those 60 odd levels. So we believe a lot of sell-off has been seen and distribution pattern is being going around into the stock. So we believe the RSI has been turning negative on the downside. Some short-term averages of 20-day, 50-day averages, I believe the stock could see some amount of more slide and the stock can correct back to those 650, 655 levels. So the stock is a clear-cut sell. The only thing is the preempt you have to do some amount of breakdown of the short-term average. We believe with the broader market negativeness, the stock could correct.
All right, and in terms of levels, Vikas, again, if you could.
Well, you can keep a stop of around 714, 720 odd levels because that was the top highest closing since when the stock formed 737, and on the downside 650 and 630 would be the potential targets.
Okay, Vikas, thanks for those observations. Some very keen ones too. Rise in volumes, but the RSI has been unable to scale as we have seen in case of the historical averages. So Vikas, the suggestion is sell on the RSI on Muthoot Finance. Raja, where do you stand here?
Looking at the chart structure of Muthoot Finance on the higher time frame charts, the prices seems to be consolidating around the 700 zone.
Yeah.
So around 700 to 680 you can say is a range in which over the last few weeks it has been consolidating. Yes, the momentum structure does indicate that it's looking a bit sluggish, but then overall prospects do not indicate some hint of bearishness. So till it moves below 670, I would not be a seller. In fact, if it moves above 700 to 705, I would actually be a buyer in Muthoot Finance for a target of 780.
Okay, all right, Mr. Fidai.
Well, somehow this stock is running upwards if you look at very long-term charts, monthly charts basically, and it has seen a good momentum. Short-term dip on these charts, on this kind of stock, one should buy on the dips rather, between 650 and 635. Right. And on the upside, Vikas has pointed out, a little bit of heaviness is being observed. So one can, avoid buying at this moment.
Right.
But I wouldn't go short right now. Okay. At this moment.
All right.
On the high, yes, probably we can go short near 740, 750.
All right.
For a little bit of dip of, maybe 5-10% kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so very, very different views coming in as far as Muthoot Finance is concerned. And it's always tough to call a sell on a stock which has been doing very well. But some valid points made by all our experts, especially the lead on it, in this case is Vikas. And from there on, let's talk about Raja and his chart on CRISIL. Raja, what are you observing here and what's your call here?
So what we are seeing here is a channel formation right since the last 2 years. So the entire channel formation for the last 2 years has witnessed a very strong breakout somewhere in early November. And since then, there has been a steady rise to the upside. The channel targets points towards the region of around 1825 as the channel target. So the whole momentum which we are seeing on this is definitely on course towards reaching those levels.
Right.
And from, you could look at the bottom panel, we have used the ADX DMI line here, and you can see that this green line is the bullish line, which is definitely in a strong uptrend, which is signaling that the strength of the bulls,
Right.
which are carrying the prices higher, are definitely on the upside,
Sure.
and they are resolutely taking the prices higher. So one can use these formation of these candles like on the previous chart which I showed. There were negative candles. Here the bullish candles are much bigger,
Right.
much wider,
Right.
which is indicating the strong bullish charge to the upside.
Okay, and in terms of levels, very quickly, Raja.
Yeah, if you can buy at current levels, you can use dip towards 1645 also
Yeah.
as a additional buying opportunity. Place a stop loss below 1615, and there are two targets, 1750 and 1780.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Raja, for getting us those details. So that's a buy on dips for CRISIL. But Mr. Fidai, do you hold of the same opinion?
Well, no, right now I would not buy this stock. Yes, I would buy this stock on dips, but at this moment I see there is this stock gave a breakdown below 1750-ish. So that could act as a very strong resistance 2 years back when it fell.
Right.
Then it has not been able to retrace that zone at all. And it is just very near to that area. So, very limited kind of profit, 3% kind of profit from this area. So wouldn't do that. But on the dips, maybe yes, I would prefer to buy this stock between 1500 to, you can say, 1550 kind of area. But right now, avoid it at the moment.
Okay, well, it's an avoid, but Vikas, what about you?
Yeah, I should also think that the stock should be avoided, because if you look at the stock has this massive up move from those 1350, 1400 odd levels. The last 10-12 days move is not being captured by strong volumes. So we believe the stock, if reverses from current levels, the stock can see a good amount of sell-off. No doubt on the higher side, 1680 to 1700 is a multiple resistances on a monthly time frame, which is the 34-month average. So the risk reward ratio does not go favorable. The stock can see a good amount of slide. So it's better to avoid or wait for some declines to enter.
Okay, well, there you have it. Another mixed set of views coming in from our experts. And, the other two experts have a contrarian view as compared to the expert who has proposed a certain idea. And, before we return, let's move on to the final chart. And that is on Crompton Greaves from our experts. Mr. Fidai has his observations here. What are you recommending here, Mr. Fidai?
Well, it's almost very similar kind of chart we saw just now, REITs and this one,
Yeah.
except that this has a bigger kind of history compared to REITs.
Right.
And REITs fell very sharply and then is still in the fall.
Yeah.
While this one is consolidating for quite some time. If you look at this, almost 6 months of consolidation, very strong consolidation, not breaking this area. Absolutely, if you look at this 240, the line has not been breached at all
Right.
in last 6 months. And I would consider this to be the strong point for the stock,
Okay.
where this is the last and final support, below which I would not be very comfortable.
Right, right.
So there are multiple supports which are both coinciding in this area between 240 and between 235.
Okay.
So one can buy in this area around 240 to 235 area,
235, yeah.
and keep a tight stop loss below, you can say, I'm sorry.
So it's around here.
Yeah,
That's
so
what the stop loss
230,
would be around.
233 or 2,
Okay, all right, yeah.
228, sorry, that would be my stop loss.
Right.
And on the upside, I see it go at least up to 260 first thing. Moment it crosses, then it becomes a very strong triangle, or you can say flag kind of breakout.
Right.
And we can see very good upside. Minimum upside could be something like 30 rupees, 35 rupees from this
Sure.
breakout zone.
Right.
So that would take us to a target of 300 rupees also. On
Okay. All right, Mr. Fidai. Thanks for getting us that idea on Crompton Greaves, which is a buy on dips. But Vikas, where do you stand here?
If you look at on the longer term time frame, this stock has not done anything great. It almost consolidated between this 210 to 240 odd band for 10-12 months. Then it gave a breakout, and now again the stock has seen good amount of corrective phase. So once again the stock can see some amount of more reaction to touch the long term average near to those 230 to 35 levels. So one should wait for some amount of price wise correction and time wise correction, unless and until the stock materialistically moves up.
Okay, and Raja, do you concur?
Yeah, the charts made a double bottom in this year, and the double bottom targets have already been achieved on the weekly time frame. After that, the stock has slipped into some consolidation and it's been there over the last 3 months at the same level.
Right.
So unless and until I see some kind of bullishness at the support levels mentioned, I would not be incurring to buy. So right now it's a wait and watch from my side.
Okay, so wait and watch as far as Crompton Greaves is concerned. And well, we've had all the charts today that have been presented by our experts, and of course, we've had a lot of views as well. But let's get in Yash back for the second chart that he has for us this afternoon. Yash, it's on Apollo Tyres, I believe.
That's right, Agam. So Apollo Tyres is one stock, again, a reversal bet, just like the one we discussed earlier. And again, it's important to note the kind of price action that we've been seeing on the counter. Again, we've seen substantial amount of weakness in the last 3 trading sessions, and the stock has come crashing again back to the levels of almost 160, where twice earlier it has come and has managed to take support and reverse again. So this is how the candlestick chart looks like. But if you take a look at the price chart on the daily basis, on the line chart as well, you will see that the yesterday's close is exactly where it had last taken its support, and then we are seeing this up move in today's day of trade. The volumes is how they stack up as of now. When we saw this big fall, there were heavy volumes, but now the volumes too have dried up, and slowly and steadily we are seeing this move. Even in today's day of trade, there has been wild gyrations. It hit a intraday low of almost 159, and then it has scaled back to as high as 165. So there is clearly support coming in at lower prices, and keeping a strict stop loss of 160, one can look to go long in the counter with targets close to around 169 or 173 as well on the upside.
All right, Yash, thanks for getting us those details on Apollo Tyres. But I'd like to take our expert's view on Apollo Tyres as well. So, Mr. Fidai, if I can come to you on this one.
Yeah, I would just adjust a little bit of stop loss what Yash has made. Instead of 160, I would keep it at 158.
Okay.
And till it holds 158, we can go long for a target of around 171, 174 in extreme short term. But if it breaks 158, then it opens up to 144 and 127 also on the downside.
Right.
So one should be very careful when they keep a stop loss. They should exit and execute that stop loss.
Sure. How about you, Raja?
No, the stock continues to be at resistance, and I would take every opportunity to initiate a short. So I would be a seller, and would use this and any rallies towards 175, 180. Unless and until it moves above 180, where there is a long-term trend line resistance. If it doesn't cross that, then I would not be a buyer in Apollo. I will use every opportunity to sell.
Okay, and Vikas?
Well, the view would continue to remain negative. If you look at the structure among the all tire stocks, it continuously underperforming, and the stock has failed to cross on the higher side. It has also broken its key support areas and almost trading into 3.5 month low. So we believe the stock can see further correction down to 153, 154 odd levels. A good 5-7% not can come in from here.
Okay, there you have it. A whole host of stocks discussed today, and some very interesting moves and some very interesting views there as well, as far as the list of our companies that we have spoken about. And on that note, I'm going to take a moment to thank all 3 of our experts for joining in and taking the time out and speaking to us about their views on the stocks that they have presented in today's day of trade. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Hot Money. Ask BQ is up next. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.